Hello, this is welcome to the ASC webinar. This is an impromptu thing. We are gathered here to really talk about ASC and the annual meeting. We are so delighted that after a hiatus, we are going to be joining you live, and some of you probably on demand that you're going to be attending the ASC. So it's a kind of a hybrid, but not truly a hybrid meeting. But we're going to do our best to give you the best educational experience that you can get. And I welcome all of you that you see their pretty faces on this screen of yours. So we're going to start talking about the annual meeting and ASC. Since, as I said, we have had a hiatus because of the current environment of the pandemic, and now we are really hoping that you join us live at ASC. So I'm going to start with our current president, Dr. Guliz Barkan. So I'm going to call her Guliz. Guliz, so what is the message for this particular annual meeting that we're going to have in 2021? What do you want people to come and say? What is the theme of this?
So the theme of this whole year was teamwork and getting together and innovation and advocacy for our profession. So we would like everyone to come as much as possible to our meeting to be able to network together and go to a environment where we can actually think of innovative areas to bring cytopathology at a different and a higher level.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And what is your platform as a president that you think we're going to feel that vibe in the meeting? What is the standing? So what you pointed out is definitely that's what ASC stands for. But what really people should say, Dr. Barkan, that is really the stepping stone for her for ASC that she really wants to highlight for her presidency.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things. It's difficult to pick and choose one. Again, I highlight teamwork as one of the important things because unless we work together, we really can't get too far. The other one is mentorship. We have younger generations coming up and we need to be able to help their way into cytopathology and being active in the society and taking ownership of the society. So if you're someone who's watching this video, if you're not a member, definitely become a member. If you're not already volunteering on one of the committees, volunteer to be on a committee and pick up some of the work and take ownership of the society. That's one of the most important things. Because after we've done that, the rest will come automatically.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to switch to Dr. Diane Davey. Diane, so you have been attending the annual meetings for a long time, as most of us are. Give us an experience about your first ASC meeting and the one which was the most latest. So what was the difference?
Well, the first one, I wasn't on any committees yet. I think I was a resident or a fellow. And I think Ann Moriarty and I went together and we talked to some of the officers after some of the meetings, introduced ourselves and hoped to get involved. And I just have to say, and then over the years, I've done a lot of workshops. I've been involved in big presentations this year, and in past years, I'm doing a roundtable on leadership. I've done a lot of things in my career. I've made some mistakes. I've helped people, and I want to pass on some words of wisdom that I've learned over the years, what works and what doesn't. And really, mentoring is so important to me. So I've enjoyed it. But I'll just have to say, this is my first meeting in person other than my Florida Society of Pathologists, which met in early July before the Delta variant took off here. And so I'm so excited. This is my first national meeting in person since the pandemic started. And I always like to meet new people. I love to talk to people in between meetings. I learn so much during the sessions, but also in between the sessions, meet new people. I just love it.
So, so if somebody asks you that this is, let's say it's me, and I say, Dr. Davey, this is my first ASC meeting, but I have so many other meetings to attend. So why should I come to ASC? What you will tell?
Well, I think it's easy to get involved. It's easy to get to know people over the years. And sometimes you go to a big meeting and you're just one person and you don't know people. And it's not as enjoyable. It's not as much fun to network. So I think with the ASC, people are always friendly. You can always meet people. You can always get involved. It's just the right size, perfect size organization for all of that.
Great, excellent. Okay, now I'm going to shift to Dr. Liron Pantanowitz, and I'm glad I think I pronounced the name right. Liron, so you have been attending ASC meetings, and you were also on the executive board. And so, you know, I always, when I think about and I talk about you, I always think this is the guy who really strategically thinks where the profession is going, and we should be ready for it. So, in few words, what do you think the audiences should be ready for as an ASC member and as the part of the professional makeup of cytopathology?
All right, thanks, Zubair. That's an interesting question, and it's relevant. I think we all know, because we live this day in and day out as cytologists, that cytology is a team sport, as we've mentioned. You cannot do cytology on your own, and you shouldn't really. And it's in all aspects of everything we do. When we sign out a case, we don't do it on our own. Cytotechs, prep techs, cytopathologists. And when we get together to teach each other, to advance the field, to discuss challenging issues, and many of them, you know, are facing us. They are diversity issues. Should we use technology? The beloved pap test is going away, maybe. You know, this is something that we shouldn't fight or advocate or tackle on our own. So we have to do it as a team sport. And when we're together, we're better. So a meeting like this is a great opportunity to bring us together. And I understand, you know, these are difficult times with COVID, and some people cannot get there for health or other reasons, travel restrictions. And so I'm thankful to the organizers for looking at creative solutions to, you know, to innovatively allow some virtual opportunities to keep people together. So we need to be together. And then the other thing for me is our vendors that support us, that provide us with the products, are an important partner in helping our field go forward. I think it's important for us to, you know, create the platforms for them to showcase their stuff and for us to get there. So although these modern virtual platforms are pretty nifty and provide the opportunities for an exhibit hall or something, it's not the same. You know, people actually talk to the vendors one-on-one, and you lose that in the virtual environment. And finally, my push for bringing us together is not that we should be together because we're better, but we lose the opportunities in the virtual platforms. And I know they've been great. You can have these chat rooms and stuff like that, but we lose those unique opportunities that arrive when you're with people, with new people and old people, and we make those connections. And I'll be honest with you, myself being a guilty party, when I participated in several virtual meetings, I don't break away from work. I multitask. I listen to something, then I go back quickly, check my email. Someone knocks on my door, even if I have a sign, please don't disturb. And it's not the same as actually, it's probably a break away from work. So come take a break with people who are like-minded, participate, you know, and you'll get to that email later in the day, and people will respect that. If you're at the ASC meeting, okay, I'm not going to bother Dr. Monaco or VanderLaan at the moment because they're not here. You know, they'll respect that you're not here, and you should actually, you know, create that bit of work-life balance. And what better than actually, you know, getting some mentorship. I think I'm going to take Diane D's roundtable, and she can teach me some stuff. You know, and it's better to do that in person. So it's a bit long answer, but you know, those are kind of the messages I'd like to share with everyone online. With
because you're in the future leadership role, so I really want to know from you, you know, about these live meetings. And we really are facing a lot of these changes that are happening, but I'm glad that we are coming to a platform when it comes to education. So, you know, the other part of this education is the way we are educating now is much different than we did long time ago. Naturally, the traditional, the legacies is still that theme is there. So I'm going to ask Christine, because she also chairs the strategic committee for the education and looks at the CME in general. So Christine, what do you think where we are going and how this is going to change for ASC?
Well, I think, you know, the great thing about having both a virtual or on-demand platform as well as being in person, it allows for flexibility. And I think we really need that flexibility right now to meet all of our members' needs. So we want to meet the needs of all the members. And how can we best do that? We know that before some institutions were limited financially from sending as many people to the meeting that they would like based on their finances. But again, this allows an opportunity for potentially more people to be involved and to attend. I think the platforms that we use, you know, we're still learning and getting a better understanding of how they work. But strategically, I think we're going to be looking going forward at all of the educational activities that we provide to our members, and looking to see how we can sort of up the game and deliver better education over time.
So, you know, this is very important because the field is changing so rapidly, and the way we teach, the way we assess, and making it a more palatable form for like ever-changing, you know, the profession and for the newcomers in the field is always a challenge. And to keep up with all that, I know we are very busy, but we find time to do it. So, Bill, now, I know that your label changed, otherwise you had my name on that, so I don't know how that happened, but I'm honored. So, Bill, what do you think, how this stuff, this changing environment and our clinical service load, and I know you've been doing a lot of virtual meetings as well as now, you know, the live meetings are coming back. What are your thoughts about it? How we should be better equip ourselves to deliver this content?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea of the hybrid meeting is really great, and it's helped us to be able to continue to do our work. It's fantastic because some of my colleagues, we would have to sort of do a little lottery here to see who gets to go to the meeting, but with the hybrid format, we all can participate. And you know, it's also been really great in the practice setting because we can all participate in consensus meetings. We can all be online watching, you know, Liron give his talk or you give your talk. And then we can chat about it and share. Sometimes as a group, we'll watch these meetings together. So I think they're great opportunities for the ASC and the annual meeting that it is in a hybrid format. On the other hand, I think we're all looking forward to those in-person times. I'm eager for that to happen again, where we're all going to be in person, because that gives greater opportunity for chatting with others, coming up with just seeing friends, but also brainstorming and getting collaborations and projects and things like that together. I'm going to be there at the ASC meeting live, and I can't wait for that.
Thank you, Bill. So Donna, I know you have been in the leadership positions with both ASC and International Academy of Cytology, and you have been in cytology profession also. So what is your thought from the other side? So when we are talking about, you know, you from that microscope side, screening, what is coming down, the restrictions and different, you know, rules and stuff. So in the midst of that, keeping the audiences updated with all these changes at the both national and international level. So what do you think, what are the opportunities for ASC annual meeting, especially to really do that, and how we should be enrolling our speakers in the future?
Well, I love the hybrid format. I think it works well, as others have said, and it's a great opportunity. I know this year the ASC is offering the sessions free to the student membership, and what a way to mentor our future cytotechnologists, to give them the opportunity to see what the ASC is all about. And I think with our collaborative meeting with the IAC coming up in the future, it's just opening up the door to bring in more international members, and for them to have the opportunity to see our great speakers and our great society. could be happening.
Have you found the ASC annual meetings to serve also as a form of mentorship for the junior members?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how I got involved back in the day. You know, I was a slide bunny with Dr. Bonfiglio years ago. You know, cytotechs weren't allowed to give presentations. And it's amazing that today I'm giving presentations at national and international meetings. But, you know, it was because of them. They gave me the opportunity. They mentored me along the way, as well as all of the friendships that I've developed from other leaders in the ASC and other organizations. It's just been a fantastic journey that I would recommend to any cytotechnologist that's listening.
So Zahra, I'm going to get to you now. So you attended ASC meetings. So give us a little bit of experience for the first ASC meeting and tell me in few words how the ASC annual meetings have really improved the knowledge and the mentorship and connections, how it has helped you to do that.
So I feel like, can you hear me? Okay.
No, I'm talking to Zahra.
Oh, Zahra, sorry.
Zahra, I'm going to get to you. Don't worry about it. All good.
I remember that my first attendance at ASC, of course, I knew the big names, experts in cytopathology, but I was kind of maybe a little bit like intimidated by all names and big titles, and that was my first attendance, and I was probably at the end of my training or maybe just the starting of my career. But soon I realized that the first attendee meeting, that was, kind of breaking the ice and having a lot of people that, before that, I just, seeing maybe, the pictures or, reading the articles. Now we are seeing them, in person. And I found everyone actually very friendly. And that was, I think, the time that a lot of, as Bill mentioned, a lot of brainstorming and new ideas and collaborations actually kicked in.
That's wonderful. Excellent. So now you guys know that the ASC meeting, we all get a booklet, and then we go to the website and there's this huge program and it looks like, oh my God, it just like magically happens. But it actually does not. This is my first time as being an active part of this committee, which is the scientific program committee. And it is, sometimes you go like, this is a lot of work. It just looks very pretty in the end, but it looks a lot of work. And I will tell you, there is so much effort that is also put by ASC offices staff, because they keep you on your toes. They tell you what is not going to work, what is going to work. And there's a huge amount of experience that we all really thrive upon as the committee members to do that. So this is a teamwork. And this year, I really had an amazing opportunity to work with some really, really wonderful people who really made my life easy, and Christine's also, because they just took on the stuff that was given to them. So I'm going to go to Paul. And Paul was really tasked with, first of all, coming up with ideas. And the second thing that Paul was also tasked with was really building one of the showstopper sessions. So I'm going to ask Paul two questions. One was, give me a little bit about what ASC as an organization has done for you, and specifically how the annual meetings have really created that whole buzz that we all as junior pathologists, and when I was junior, looked for. And when you were thinking about these building a showstopper sessions, how did you really came about what was really the hot topic to be presented?
Yeah, great questions. Again, tip of the hat to you, Zubair and Christine, for shepherding us through this first in-person meeting in a while for a lot of people. And I think that you guys have really put together a fantastic program for this meeting. And I think that we've all heard everyone speaking about just how much this ASC meeting has meant for them personally and professionally throughout their careers. And really, it is a fantastic way to interact with, to see, the big names in the field. And as you're a junior, a trainee, a junior member, or more advanced in your career, the intimacy and kind of the small scale of this meeting enables you to interact, on a more personal level than you might at CAP or USCAP or any of our other, pathology meetings. And of course, everyone knows that cytopathologists are just a really friendly folk, right? And so it is really easy to make new friends, to, at a poster session, to ask some questions and to learn from each other. And so, personally, I've really enjoyed the ASC meeting. I haven't missed it, since, being, kind of baptized in the cytopathology world. And really, it's a great thing on a couple of levels. Number one, just to see and meet the big names in the field, to put names to, to put faces to the names of, those people that you read their articles of, in JASC or Cancer Cytopathology over and over. It's like, oh, wow. That's Zahra Maleki. I've read 1,000 papers by her, so it's great to meet the people. It's great to go to get inspiration, and an inspiration of where are the holes of knowledge in the field, what studies should be done, where can you potentially collaborate with others. So that's also really important. And then number three, again, it just is a great touchstone moment to, again, to remind yourself why we all fell in love with cytopathology. So why is it such a great profession? Why, do we get excited about it? And it's great to come back to your institution and to share that inspiration, to share that, that excitement with the trainees and the rest of the staff. And so that's kind of in a nutshell, what ASC has kind of meant for me. And then your second question about the showstoppers, yeah, absolutely. And from right from Jump Street, you were like, we want good showstopper, great sessions, because all the sessions at ASC are great, but there are a number that kind of stick out in your mind. And one that really stuck out in my mind, I'm sure all of you remember, was the ER physician who also climbed Mount Everest, who was an astronaut. And it's like, kind of, it makes me kind of pale in comparison to what I've accomplished in my life when you look at those type of things. So those kind of cool, inspirational, stories and the messages are really, great, great opportunities. And this year we I don't know if you all know this, but COVID was kind of a hot topic, this past year or two. And so we were very fortunate to be able to have Dan Baruch, who's here at the Beth Israel Deaconess, who's a virologist who's been intimately involved with vaccine development, not only HIV work in the past, but with COVID more recently with the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. And, he's been, in such high demand, at, CNN, national news conferences, and obviously sharing all of his experience with the FDA and how this pandemic, unfolded and on the vaccine response. And so we're really excited to have him in person, sharing his inside perspective on, the science, the business, all of the intricacies behind vaccine development, again, in this compressed, unique situation. And so I think that hopefully everyone will really learn a lot and enjoy what he has to say.
Thank you, Paul. So, the ASC is also about setting up a legacy, and you want to really mentor, and you really want somebody who at the mid-career or junior faculty to join ASC and be a very active member, because it's not, I don't want to be doing this forever. I want to go and, somewhere sit on a porch and sip something. So, for me, this is very important. And I was very lucky this year to work with Dr. Nishino, which I'll call Michiya, and Dr. Weiss, Vivien. And I gave them this task because I was told what will be Dr. Barkan's platform. One will be diversity and inclusion, another one will be about patient safety. So, and when you talk about patient safety, all of us as a profession are involved, and this is really becoming more and more important. So, so Michiya and Vivien, so we gave you a task. So let's start with Vivien first. So when you guys got together and talked about it, what was going through your mind to really set up this whole stage for different speakers, how they're going to jive together? Because as you know, this topic is not so clear-cut when we talk about head and neck cytology or thyroid. It really involves, it is a very multifaceted topic.
Great question. So I think Michiya and I were really excited about patient safety. I think it doesn't get enough press. I think it's something that we focus on every single day, but we rarely hear big presentations at meetings that focus on this and how to continue to improve patient safety, especially with, cytology as a team sport. It really takes a team. And so we began thinking about, well, what are the key aspects of patient safety and cytopathology? What are we continuing to develop? How is patient safety staying state of the art? And what are we currently doing to enhance patient safety in our labs? And then in step with the hybrid format, our state-of-the-art symposium this year is also hybrid format because we really wanted leaders in patient safety to be speaking, whether or not they could be present in person or not. We wanted to make sure that we really had a voice for really outstanding speakers and a platform that could really showcase the team cytology approach to patient safety and quality improvement in the laboratory.
Okay, Michiya, so what was the, when we were choosing the topics and the titles as you were coming through and talking to speakers, and I can see a lot of emails going back and forth. So just give us a little bit of a rundown on the whole process when you were thinking about the titles and what you think is going to be more attractive to the audience who are coming to a cytology meeting.
Yeah, no, thank you, Zubair. When our committee came together to decide on the topic and the title, we had several criteria. It had to be practical, had to be relevant and valuable, thought-provoking, forward-thinking, and also presented in an engaging way. So those are all the factors that we considered, when we were coming up with our topic and our title. And all of us here recognize that cytopathology has been a leader in the anatomic pathology sphere in terms of patient safety and laboratory quality, with the regulatory requirements and standardized reporting systems and so forth. But with the increasing demand for complex ancillary testing on FNA and fluid samples, we saw that there was really a big opportunity and a challenge within the patient safety and laboratory quality sphere, and we decided, this has to be the topic, the show-stopping topic, for our state-of-the-art symposium. So, we're thrilled to, come up with an expert panel of speakers, both within cytopathology. Dr. VanderLaan is our one of our speakers in this regard, and then also from other pathology subspecialties. As Vivien said, we wanted experts, regardless of their association with cytopathology. And with this panel, we have really unique insights and perspectives into the latest trends in patient safety, test utilization, and how we monitor and lab quality and correct any deficiencies that we see.
Yeah, I think that is very important. I think you kind of basically said what I was going to say, that it is not about that your panelist has to be a cytopathologist. It has to be the knowledge expert, and and the best knowledge expert is where they can actually give it to a wider audience from different aspects of the field. So thank you so much, and I'll come back to you now. So one of the things about ASC that I was a program director, fellowship program director for a long time. And I was kind of mentored into it or shepherded into it. I'm going to steal the word from Paul by late Dr. Gupta. And I sometimes felt that I was looking at guidance from different other fellowships or the residency program, but I didn't have a specific guidance on how to be really, what are the regulatory stuff, how we should do things, and even the smaller stuff, which really mattered, but there was nothing available, because most of the sites were focused more on the residency and the other fellowships. And I really am so glad that there was a group of us who really took this charge, and to really lead this was Dr. Monaco and Sara. And I have attended her session, have been a faculty on it. Sara, why fellowship? Why was this topic that I know you do education, you do other things, but you really took this on and made this something which has become like a cornerstone of our meeting. It has to be there, and people ask for it. So tell me this. Why did you got involved into this? I mean, all of us have a lot of aspirations, but tell us about this, because I really want this to be known.
Well, I do think that the ASC is lucky that it has a program director committee. Guliz had me sit on the Association for Pathology Chairs Fellowship Committee, and I've learned that not all subspecialties in pathology have a strong program director committee, and that sort of inhibits them from doing things and uniting to create educational initiatives or moving towards a unified timeline. And so we're lucky in cytopathology that we do have a really strong fellowship program director committee. And I consider all PDs kind of members of our committee and contributing over the year. And I will say the strategy session at the annual meeting is really the one time where we get together in person. Over the past year, our committee did do a virtual PD meeting, which I think was really effective in the virtual space. And I think that will probably continue because I think we got great feedback that a lot of program directors feel kind of isolated on their own and need ideas from other institutions about how they're tackling new things. So our committee met this year and said, you know, as a program director, what are the topics you want to hear about? And people came back about teaching during COVID, implementing the new milestones, and what does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to a fellowship program director? So we have Diva Salameo from Mayo, who leads her DEI initiatives at Mayo. She's going to speak about what DEI means as a fellowship director. And then the final part of strategies will actually be giving feedback on the unified timeline that the ASC sponsored this year. Was really a group effort to sort of make the recruitment process into cytology a more equitable process. And so I have a couple of take-home messages for people that I wanted to just stress. You know, this session has always been called Strategies in Cytopathology Education, and I want to make sure people know that it's not just for program directors. I think a mission of the ASC and a lot of our roles in our institutions revolve around education. So I would say, yes, we would love all program directors to come, but especially if you can't attend, send someone else on your faculty, or if you're involved with teaching, just show up. And if you're going and you know any of your residents or fellows that are also attending the meeting, I would really emphasize that this may be a session for them. I would like to see feedback from people entering cytopathology and what the unified timeline and what diversity, equity, inclusion would look like to applicants so that we are being an equitable society. So those are sort of my take-home messages about our session.
So how do you see this committee, let's say in the next 10 years? So what will be the wish list for this committee? Should it just be involved in the logistics, or it should go beyond and think about, take a more wholesome approach to the fellowship recruitment plus, you know, mentorship? So where do you see this in 10? What will be your wish list in the next 10 years?
Well, in some ways, I feel like this was one of the first years where we made a concerted effort to really collaborate with the ACGME and do some stuff with their data sets about cytology. And Ritu does a great job with the American Board of Pathology, and maybe we just need to sort of do more collaborative efforts. JASC is publishing the educational special issue with a lot of topics from the American Board of Pathology, ACGME, and the ASC Program Director Committee. And I think that was a really great collaborative effort by multiple different societies in pathology that focus on cytology education. So I would like to see that more in the future. I feel like with the unified timeline, the hardest group I had reaching out to, like our committee had a problem with, was the people who want to go into cytology. Like there's no like you know, email database of PGY2s and 3s that are thinking of cytology. So it's really hard to say, hey, cytology is going to a unified timeline. You can wait till October 1st and see which programs want you, and then you can decide and not be forced to commit 2.5 years before you finish residency. So I would like to incorporate more trainee interest groups and get feedback and have them more part of our committee and educational sessions.
So do you think the annual meeting, that the timeline that we give you, you know, certain amount of time for this session, is that enough, or the wish list will be to have a separate, like a brainstorming workshop, which is still sponsored by ASC, but done separately also from the meeting?
Well, you give me 3 hours, which I think is pretty generous. And I'm very thankful that we're not on the last day, because when people fly out from a West Coast meeting, we miss having a large audience. So I have to thank the Scientific Program Committee for giving me my 3 hours and for not putting me on the last day. So I am not going to complain about anything right now.
So let's talk about a little bit, we talked about the education and, we meet people, but I want to specifically talk about the fun at ASC meetings. So I want to start with Guliz. So what is the fun part of the meeting?
What is the fun part? Gosh, there's a lot of fun parts. The whole meeting itself is a fun part. Just listening to all these wonderful friends. I remembered my first meeting, which was 2002. Chris, you were there.
I do see an animal in the background, Guliz. Is that the cat?
That's my dog. The cat is downstairs. She's not very lovey-dovey. The dog is very lovey-dovey. She's right.
One of the panelists. Okay.
Yes. So I remember going to this meeting, and just as soon as you step in, it's a whole different world. I was thinking, oh my goodness, all these like-minded people, we're all talking about the same thing. This is what I love. This is what the people are talking about. And I felt like I was at home, and it was like instant love. I just belong here was the feeling I got. And, on top of all that, meeting new friends, that was a beautiful thing. And we are a different group of pathologists and cytotechnologists. We actually like having fun. So we have the parties, we like dancing. We are a fun group of individuals, and the friendship carries way beyond the meeting. It goes into lifelong friendships where we know each other's families and whatnot. And so once you're in the ASC family, you're in the ASC family for life. And that just makes it into a warm and fuzzy, wonderful place to be in.
Excellent, thank you. Diane, what do you think? Same question. What about the fun part of ASC meeting? I think you're muted still.
I am not sure. Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, great. I was having a little trouble. I've had unstable internet. No,
yeah.
I love some of the get-togethers, the everything from the opening one with the exhibitors. And again, I agree that supporting our exhibitors is great. I back in the old days, we had the dance, the formal dance, but since then we've kind of changed to some more informal settings for the social events. And I don't know, I just like seeing all my friends, but I think the events we have are very inclusive and really welcoming to everyone. And so I don't know. And, you get to know people's families even just informally outside of some of the regular sessions.
No, that's wonderful, because I do remember my first ASC meeting. There was a formal dance. Everybody had tux, and there was like, it almost seems like you were in a wedding. So
yeah, we had an anniversary thing when I was president, and I remember we gave these like little medals to all of the past presidents, and that was a pretty big dinner dance. I remember that was in Salt Lake City. We had the meeting there again recently. So.
Yeah, I remember attending Dr. Bebo's session, and she showed up 5 minutes late into her session, and it was like a grand entrance. So now we just still struggling with the computers. Bill, what do you think about the fun part of the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going to the ASC meeting for the last 25 or 26 years, and it's always that evening session. I think sometimes it's sponsored by the foundation, but there are themes, and everybody's together and mingling, and then it turns into a crazy music and dance, and everybody's just having a wonderful, wonderful time. And I remember so many years doing that, and that's a great way to really connect with all of your friends and make new friends. And I'm looking forward to it in Vegas this year. That should be very special. I can't wait.
Liron, what do you think? You look too serious, so I have to ask you about fun now.
Yeah, thanks for asking me. I would say if you're not inhibited, the ASC is definitely the place for you to be. And if you are inhibited, the ASC is definitely the place to be, because people will drag you onto the dance floor.
I know.
You'll join them for dinner, maybe drink a little bit too much, definitely go to bed too late for the next day's session. So it's not just all about you know, the work and the academics. It's really about people connecting, having a lot of fun doing that. And I've had that every year. Every year I go, I say I'm going to be more serious and not go to bed late and party, but never happens. So because of many of the people actually on this call. So I would encourage you, you know, to come. And we're not saying it's going to be just a party, but it will definitely be a party plus academics. And you know what, you couldn't get a better mix than that. So have fun while, you know, while working, networking, and bringing all of that back to your lab. And as someone had said, you know, you bring back, Paul said, you bring back the inspiration, but it gives you a little bit of time to relax and recuperate, you know, and then come back and sign out all those cases. So definitely the place to be.
So that's the message for Paul, Michiya, and Vivien. We want to see you on the dance floor. So I think I'm going to end with this one thing, and I'm going to ask the specific questions because, so, you know, some of this stuff that we've been doing, we keep on doing. So, you know, if you want to think of ASC as an organization, what do you want the ASC to move into? I mean, is this something that ASC is not doing that it should be doing, especially actually when it comes to educational events and educational offerings? So I'm going to start with Guliz. Guliz, what do you think?
That is an excellent question. Where is our future, essentially, is your question. So one of the things I would like to do that involves our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is to do an international outreach, to reach out to individuals. Occasionally, we get in our institution saying, well, can I come for a rotation or observership or something like that? You know, with the COVID the pandemic, everything changed, so people couldn't move, but yet they still needed and required some sort of education that either they could show to their immediate bosses somehow for training purposes, or, you know, they would like to maybe seek some training in the US. So what better than ASC to be the central go-to place for something like this, to have an outreach to these individuals and to, you know, allow them to do some sort of observership that is pre-planned and organized. So that might be one of the things that we'll get the DEI committee to work on. There's a lot more, but I'll let others talk.
So Vivien, what do you think? What do you want from ASC in the next 5 to 10 years that it meets I know it's meeting the standard now, but you know, the things are changing very rapidly in our profession. So what will be the wish list for you that ASC should be doing?
I think that's a great question. I completely agree with Guliz. And I also think continuing to innovate and incorporate technology into our work and our practice. I think especially with COVID, there's been a lot of advances in the way we communicate and the way we connect with everyone. And I think we can continue to utilize that to advance our field in the coming years.
Donna, same question to you. So where do you want ASC, and especially all the other organizations which are dealing with cytology, how do you want them to be in the future? Because as you know, the same question, where do you want, what will we are not doing that we should be doing or thinking about doing in the future?
I think we need to provide education for those cytotechnologists who may be in a role where they're just screening Pap tests, especially if primary screening becomes more prevalent. In the next 5 years, we're going to have to think about some retraining of these individuals to assist and be team players with a pathologist for, you know, procedures that they aren't doing maybe now. So with the transfer to this master's level profession for cytotechnologists, I think we really have to think about how we can educate those cytotechs in the field that don't have those resources available to them, and continue to produce great cytotechnology students for the profession in the future.
Paul, in your leadership role at your institution, naturally you see a lot of fellows, a lot of junior faculty coming through, even, you know, so what do you think that an organization of like ASC should be gearing towards in the future and should be ready for it?
Great question, and you're just teeing this up perfectly. And so for all of those in attendance, online or virtually, this is a little hint of like things to come from the ASC. The educational opportunities the ASC does is wonderful. And again, hats off to Guliz over the last couple of years for really spearheading that online didactic sessions on Wednesdays, which has been so helpful and so useful for a lot of trainees. And so again, don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, but some of the things in the pipeline. And so Vivien, I have the distinct pleasure of working with Vivien as a co-course director for a workshop, a virtual workshop for research and basically helping trainees and faculty understand research, statistics, how to set up studies, how to publish, how to present at meetings. And so a number of people, on the call will be faculty at that. And so that's something very exciting that we're putting together. And then another, I think, workshop that Vivien is working on that I have the pleasure of participating in is a molecular workshop as well. Molecular is something that's so important in almost every organ system. And so again, having an up-to-date online virtual workshop where people can kind of learn about the cutting edge molecular testing and molecular needs in different organ systems, again, is something that Vivien's working on. And so 2022, stay tuned. Some of these exciting things rolling down the pipeline from the ASC.
Wonderful. As you all know, the 2022 is going to be a combined meeting. It's going to be a big slam event, and it's going to be the showstopper of all. We're going to be combining our forces with IAC to have this huge meeting in Baltimore. So thank you all for really joining me in this informal chat. And I apologize if my questions were a little bit out of the way, but I just wanted to make sure create this kind of energy and what I feel about ASC, and I know you all love ASC. We are committed to different organizations, but when it comes to ASC, this is what I do every day. So thank you so much. And to the audience who are watching or who are going to watch us on YouTube, we want to see you there, because that, even if it's socially distant, a little bit of a distance between us or masked, we want to see you because we want to feel that energy, because each one of you carries that energy that energizes me and all of us who are in the field. So thank you so much for joining us and taking time to do this, to all of our panelists. So thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.